What's good, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. So today I am reviewing the Autopsy of Jane Doe, directed by Andre Ovredal, and I do apologize if I pronounced that wrong. The movie stars Emile Hirsch and Brian Cox. So before I get started with the review, I do want to mention this is a rated R horror film. So along with the film, of course, being graphic and showing some graphic material, the details I'm going to go over are somewhat graphic as well, so just keep that in mind. The movie opens up at a murder investigation of 4 dead bodies and a young girl's body buried under the house where the crimes have occurred. It's like unidentified. She's labeled as Jane Doe, and she's brought to the morgue, which is run by Brian Cox and Emile Hirsch. And Brian Cox is the dad, Emile Hirsch is the son, naturally. Brian Cox is very old, and Emile Hirsch he's still young, but he was very young when this movie came out. Anyway, these guys are a father and son team who run the morgue. They're very professional. So his body is brought into them as Emile Hirsch's character, the son, is leaving to go on a date. He decides to not go on the date. He decides to stay and help his dad with the investigation, being the cops need a cause of death by morning. So he goes there, and as things go on throughout the investigation, it is completely out of the ordinary. The lungs are burnt, but there's literally no outside damage to the body. The lungs are burnt, there's a tongue removed, there's fractured ankles, there's fractured wrists, but there's no damage to the body. Eyes are cloudy, making it look like that she hasn't been dead that long. Now, as they dive deeper and find things within her, they find this is a ritualistic killing. And what is going on afterward is where it starts to get a little bit scary, but where the movie also starts to go off the rails a little bit. Now keep in mind, they are in a morgue. The father, being a traditionalist, keeps bells on the ends of the feet of the bodies that are held in the morgue. One thing the movie plays on that got me, and that I really, well, I'll first go over what I really liked about it as I'm going through the review. It did use one thing that scares me in a movie, which is mirrors. I cannot stand mirrors. Mirrors do scare me. And so they played with those very well, with images and seemingly people moving throughout the halls. Now, one thing also good about this movie, it's a small cast, and it takes place primarily just in the morgue. 90% of the movie is in that morgue. I like movies that take place in a closed setting. Now, where the movie starts to go off the rails a little bit, in my opinion, is when they get into some of the spiritual stuff going on around. The first and second act, where they're just introduced and they're doing the investigation on the body, I liked all of that. It kind of kept me in. Once it got into some of the spiritual stuff, there's the bodies moving throughout the halls, lights are going out, radio is going on with this random weird old creepy song. That's one thing in horror movies, they always use old music to kind of freak us out. This movie did it okay. The music isn't what got me, but the playing with the mirrors did get me. I'm not going to go over the spoilers in this, but the third act I felt was kind of weak, but I will sum it up by saying basically what is happening throughout is there is a reverse ritual going on. Now, if you like stuff that goes on to do with the occult and like possession, if you like those types of horror movies, then you'll really like this. It's available on Netflix right now, so if you have Netflix, it's only an hour and a half long. I think it's even a little bit less than that. So for my taste, it's right in the wheelhouse. But yeah, so there's a lot of that stuff going on. There is a little bit of violence, and it's a little bit spooky. It's not the spookiest possession movie or like witch type movie I've ever seen. I recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's not a must watch, but if you like horror films and you haven't seen it, I would definitely check it out and give it a watch. I decided to watch it today because the director of this movie is the same director who is directing the movie Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which is coming out tomorrow officially, but I will be going to go see it today, and I will have the review of that out by tomorrow. But yeah, overall, pretty good film. Uses a lot of lighting, uses typical kind of spooky stuff, mirrors, bodies moving. It plays, of course, with the bells, on the old dead bodies, and then the movie is bookended by the police coming in and going over what just happened at the morgue that night. But yeah, Autopsy of Jane Doe. Check it out if you like just to see a new horror movie. Got an hour and a half to spare. Thank you guys so much again for joining me today. I greatly appreciate your time. I will see y'all later.